again, we really appreciate you guys being here. What we'd like to do is open up the floor. What we'd like to do is stand up, just yell out. I will repeat the question if you can't hear it in the back. Tell us your name and what you do, and then the three of us will take the questions.
We got a house mic.
If we have a house mic, that'd be great, but it's hard to get it around. So just while we're waiting, just tell us your name, what you do, and your question, and I'll repeat it.
It's not so much a question. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Michelle Boston.
Okay, Michelle Boston.
And I have solutions. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do it right.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle Boston. I'm an Akronite. I've been here since I was 17 years old. I graduated from the University of Akron. Hello, Dr. Scarborough. I like to say I'm Akron University's first Polytechnic alum in nursing. I am a technologist and a nurse. I live at that intersection. I invent software that solves problems. The latest software that I'm developing is youcancare.com. It's a solution for long-term care. We have 77 million baby boomers who are aging who need care. And we also have $1.4 trillion worth of student loan debt, and I'm attacking that too, with the intersection of the two. So if anybody wants to join that team, I will be here. I have a piece of paper. You can sign up. I don't mind however you want to contribute to it. I can tell you what we're doing. And you're more than welcome to join this care space disruption. And I'm excited to be here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody else just stand up. Yeah. Wait. Tell people who you are and what you do so there's perspective, so we can repeat it.
I'm Brian Davis. I'm chairman of biomedical engineering at the University of Akron.
So for those, if you can't hear him in the back, Brian Davis is the chairman of biomedical engineering at the University of Akron.
I have a question for David, because he's an orthopedic surgeon, but he got his inspiration by looking at a wine cork opener. And I'm curious about just the idea of taking things from a different field and applying it to your field and being open to that whole concept.
So Brian's question was, why would an orthopedic surgeon spend so much time with wine, if I got that right?
Spend a day with me. Especially since I can't really drink. That's one of the other interesting parts of the story. Yeah, absolutely. There's no question that the cross-pollination concept is so important. I really like the idea of bringing in industrial designers, artists. I took a vacation. I was in Italy, Venice, Florence, Rome, did the big three. You're just so inundated by art, but you find a different appreciation for solving problems. When everybody starts talking, what we're doing is solving a problem, and you need to do it in an elegant, a beautiful way. It needs to be elegant and beautiful. It needs to be simplified to the point that you don't even notice all the other stuff that it took to make it happen. It needs to be effortless, and you really gain that with art. That's what real art will do for you. So I think it is really important to have a very broad background, to not be afraid of people with different perspectives on things. It's going to happen regardless. If you're going to venture into the world, it's not going to be in your own little special cocoon where everybody's just like you. You need to recognize the differences that are cultural, the differences that happen just because. And you need to filter them out because you can't embrace them all, but you still need to at least have a great understanding. So yeah, you need to have different perspectives on things to solve problems best.
Yeah, I like to follow up on that. The idea that you're describing there is the joy of diversity coming together, and different disciplines and different ideas and mindsets around you will help shape and hone your own good ideas. So it really doesn't occur necessarily at home. It doesn't occur where you necessarily work, although you bring those practices in. Typically, those casual relations occur at a establishment. There's some type of arts performance going on. There's ballet, there's dance, there's art museum, there's nightlight cinema, there's independent film, there's blue jazz, there's all types. Say theater. Yes, thank you. She's right on it. Let's get her back up here. And so it occurs by you meeting people in these places. Great places are for people to come together and share ideas, a public forum like.
So Brian, I want to add something to your question, because Brian's question was the fact that an orthopedic surgeon got inspiration from a field not related to his. I'm just going to share with you guys something that I do. I made up this term, and for those of you who've heard me speak before, I apologize you're hearing this again, but I call this info sponging. I started to notice that the world's most innovative people were people that had a broader funnel than everybody else. If you're in healthcare, what do you work on all day? Healthcare. If I said to you, you guys want to go to the banking conference, you'd say, Jeff, we're in healthcare. We don't care what banks do. If I gave you a magazine called Jazz Club, the magazine you had, you would say...
Downbeat magazine.
Downbeat. I'm not interested. We're in healthcare. That doesn't really help us. But the world's
Square.
most innovative people are people that process a broader funnel. So I use this technique that I call info sponging. I do this 5 minutes every day. If you can't do it every day, do it once a week. For the first 5 minutes of every day, I leave my job and I leave my industry. You are not a surgeon, right? And you're not in this business, real estate, restaurants, development, or anything.
I'm a philosopher.
You're not in healthcare. For 5 minutes, you're not in your business and your industry. And here's the challenge. I challenge myself to learn one new thing every day that I have no idea why I'm learning it. I don't need to know it. I read an article every day about something. I have no idea why I'm reading it.
You love to learn.
Right, because you know what it is? Think of it as a puzzle piece. If I gave Tony a puzzle piece and said, what is this? He'd say, I don't know, it's one piece of a puzzle. If I gave him 2 or 3, he wouldn't know. But one day, if Tony keeps collecting puzzle pieces and moving them around the table, he's going to call and say, Jeff, it's a castle in Ireland. So knowledge and learning are the same way. Every day I learn one new random thing, lay it down with all the other pieces, stare at it and say, is there something here that didn't exist yesterday that I could be the first person in my industry to see? 99 days in a row, you don't see that. The 100th day might be yourpriceline.com. That was a company that was born of this exact info sponging type of process where we kept looking at all the things going on in the world and trying to reassemble them. And it's a startup that today is a company worth $65 billion. It never would have existed if it wasn't that type of thinking. So I'm glad, Brian, you asked that question about a surgeon taking inspiration from another field. You should all do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to add on to that one. One of my favorite apps is Flipboard. And in Flipboard, you get so much that you can just run through and go, hey, that looks interesting. I want to read more about that. And I do that every single day. I hit Flipboard because it brings together so much news, interest, things that you would never run across anyplace else. It's fantastic to do exactly what you're describing.
Ian and I went to the Akron Art Museum that you mentioned recently, and they were putting up a new exhibit, and they were trying to figure out how to engineer it all into that room, but they were all artists. So you know what I was sitting there thinking? Ian and I didn't want to leave. I wanted to see how a group of artists solve an engineering problem, because they might do something that we would have never thought of as engineers. Let's move on so we can get another question. Somebody all the way in the back? Wait, I got PhD in integrated bioscience. David is saluting you. That's really nice.
Yeah. Actually, so my personal experience on that is I'll get, I'm known as the crazy professor, so I get all kinds of crazy ideas popping in a lot. Write them down and go back and look at them. And some of them really are going to be crazy and like, what the hell was I thinking about? Some of them are like, you know what? This one might have some real legs. So keep a journal. Write the things down and come back and look and revisit those different things that you're thinking about. Once a week, once a month, just come back and revisit those. And, it's one of the fun things to do with calendar year. I never really care that much about a calendar whenever I start something. I just go, okay, I'm going to do it today. I don't care what day it is, what time it is. I'm just going to do it. But just write them down and start looking back on them, because you might have some real inspiration, or you might have some like, what the hell was going on, really? So that's what's happened with me.
So I would add to that as well. 2 things. One is let the crazy fly. When you filter your own thinking, you start pre-editing ideas. When you let the crazy fly and follow an absurd train of thought down a rabbit hole, 99 out of 100 of them, you laugh and say, that was a stupid idea, and the 100th one takes your breath away. But you'll never explore 100 ideas if you start editing your ideas. So let the crazy flow. That was my first thing when you're in that mood. The second thing was don't stop it. I was driving the other day, and I just pulled off the highway and pulled into a gas station, because I didn't want to process traffic. I wanted to close my eyes and let this crazy idea keep going through my head. And I grabbed a pen and paper and I made notes. Then I went back to driving again. When you have those moments, follow them all the way through. Ian made a point. We were talking about that stat came out, the number of times a day an average American is distracted by their cell phone. And Ian said to me, how do we ever finish a thought if we check our cell phone every 10 seconds? When you have that thought, put the cell phone away. Unless you're taking notes on it, let your creativity flow and don't block it with distraction. You want to add anything there?
You were describing like a reoccurring idea that would come and it becomes sharper and it would become more clear. That's that tendency, or that's that ability that you want to develop to overcome the ambiguity. This is actually this muscle that you're not used to maybe working out with, but the more you use it, wow, I didn't really know I had that muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And so, work that muscle. Start thinking harder. Think more regularly. Get a pencil and some white paper and draw flowcharts and sketches and picture the thing built. Picture it being used. See the space filled with people listening to jazz aficionados talk about cool art.
If no one has ever told you you're crazy, you're not trying hard enough. You're not pushing the edge.
You talking to
until
me?
I don't even have to in this case.
This is fun.
That's
Thanks
why,
for coming out, folks.
That's why I love you, by the way.
Does everybody got a
I
drink?
love the
People
crazy.
look kind of like they're thirsty and they're hungry. Do you got service here? What's going on?
Anyway, I already forgot what I was saying. Let's take the next question. Sir. Okay, I'll go first on that. So the question about sharing your inspiration with others. I spent all my time, I've been on the last 3 years, I took off my commitment to giving back was I kind of went on a mentoring world tour. And I've been mentoring entrepreneurs and youth and women's groups all over the world for the last 3 years. So I'm going to tell you, one of the questions I get all the time is I have this inspiration, this idea, but I'm afraid to tell it to people. And people say, I'm afraid if I tell somebody, they'll steal it. So your question was, do you share your inspiration? I'm going to tell you two things. If your idea is so simple that anyone hearing it could just do it, get another idea, okay? If you have no unfair advantage, find an idea where you have an unfair advantage. Things in the medical field, this guy has a pretty unfair advantage. I will never compete with him in anything in his field. The fields that Tony's in, I wouldn't even begin to touch. Find something, an idea, an inspiration. Let some of them go if it's something that anybody could do or somebody could do better than you. Find something you're uniquely qualified or experienced to do. I think that's really important in sharing your inspiration, because people say they're just afraid to do that. But I will tell you the other reason, part of what we're trying to do, in fact, one of the projects that we've been working on that Ian and I are working on with Dr. Scarborough and the university to build here in the community is the XL Center. We want to build a space off campus in the Inventors Hall of Fame, in that big grand room where they used to have all the inductions and everything. We want to have more community spaces. Now, I'm clearly not telling you we don't already have them. You know about a lot of incubator and accelerator spaces. We have no intent to duplicate, but we need more here. And here's why. The great thing that Silicon Valley did, and by the way, we built one of the world's biggest internet companies without ever living a day in Silicon Valley. They have no patent on creativity, even though people think that. But they did a few things right, and we should adopt them. Here's one of the things that Silicon Valley did right. They socialized business. It was the first city where everybody sat at a table and shared ideas, not out of fear, out of the belief that a rising tide lifts all boats. So what happens is, Josh, Logan, is we need to build that environment here where there's a place that you go where you say, guys, listen to my idea. And Susan says, you should talk to my friend so-and-so. And Michelle says, I know a person that does this. And the community starts sharing. Why would she do that? Because Logan's going to say, oh, Michelle, I know someone that could help you with your deal. The cities that work are the cities that cooperate, not operate in fear of competition. So My advice to you is share your inspiration. And to everybody else, help him because he'll help you back. That's the environment we need to build, and we need to have more spaces where we're all in one room sharing ideas. Share your idea, and if it's so simple anyone can take it, just get another idea. You want to hand her?
I'm doing this again to take a risk and out of desperation. As I listen to everybody, one of the things that happens in my field, which is theater, and every time we open a show, we've taken tremendous risk. And every time I open one of my shows as a director, I get a pig with wings because a pig has flied that day when something opens with so many in the community. The thing about theater and all of the arts, we don't value them enough to pay for them like we pay for brain surgery and restaurants, etc. We think that it's not necessary, but it is food for the soul, food for inspiration. We don't want to close down departments and areas, theaters, etc. We want you to come and, in fact, help problem solve. Here's the bottom line. We have a left brain and a right brain. And if we look at our left brain, that is all the science that takes place, the logic, the math, everything. Polytechnic, I think of as science, etc. The right brain is creativity. And if we don't, as a young man going out there in his first role and taking the risk of showing what he can do, etc., we are ignoring that right brain, and we need it desperately to problem solve. It has to be creative. It has to let things, fly, etc. And unfortunately, we don't value it as much as we do the sciences. So as you live in Northeast Ohio, which does not have a high tradition of taking the family to the theater, there's no great children's theater like there is in Minneapolis, etc. Please expose your kids, expose yourself, enjoy, and know that when they open, all the designers, all of the actors, the director, a pig has flown somewhere.
Very good. Thank you for that plug for live theater. Thank you very much. Watch your step, please. See, I got this feeling that all the world's a stage, right? And that we are merely players. And so it's our opportunity to make a good performance, not only on the theater, the theatrical arts, but in all of life, daily life, is to be a good performer. And that means to know your lines and to be able to deliver them with confidence and clarity so that the words that you use are important and they're effective. Thoughts are things, and the language that we use to shape those thoughts actually drives the clarity of the picture that you may be thinking about or you're attempting to communicate. So if you select wise words, thoughtful words, deliberate words, it shapes a positive thought. It adds clarity to beat the ambiguity. You're clearly defining your mission. You're doing it with incremental points of escalation. And you do it on stage because you only get 15 minutes of fame. I don't care if you live to be 100 years. That's only 36,500 days.
So we agree, and thank you, Susan. And in fact, I was pretty thrilled when the university announced its new dance partnership and the investment it made in the performing arts by the new dance partnership. Clearly, I think our community recognizes the importance of the performing arts. We're going to do just a couple more questions and wrap up because I want you guys to talk to each other and make sure that you introduce yourself to somebody you would not normally have introduced yourselves. However, Aiden, first of all, how old are you, bud?
I'm 8 years old.
8 years old. Come on up here, buddy. Join the couch. Go ahead. Wow, why are you not in bed? Isn't this a school night, dude?
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk to your parent, and I know who that is.
What's your name, young man?
Aiden.
Okay, Aiden, what's your question,
What's
buddy?
your Aiden?
How do we produce, or I don't know what the heck that was, but how do we produce risks for people in school in my age, or
How do we produce what?
risks
Oh, okay.
for people in my age?
Tell us what do you want to do when you grow up? What's your dream? What do you want to be?
probably an engineer or something like that.
Okay.
Maybe work for Apple or something.
Okay. He wants to be an engineer. And work for Apple, he said. But we'll. Any of you guys want to jump into that? So your question was, I want to make sure we understand your question.
Okay, I'm glad that you're here, young man. So you want to be an engineer. That is cool. Tell me what an engineer does. I want to understand what an engineer does.
Uses circuits and stuff like that to create stuff that may not be easy to create, or stuff that I don't know how to explain it, but
It sounds like what you're talking about. I'm going to put some words in your mouth because I liked what he said about looking for solutions and trying to come up with an idea that you can complete or a problem that might exist that you're going to fix.
Okay, so I got a question for you. What do you hate to do?
hate to do.
Yeah, what do you hate? What's your worst class? What class do you really hate?
That's a hard question.
You're just saying that because your teacher's probably in here.
No, she's not in here.
You don't hate anything.
Well, I do hate one thing.
Yeah, what's
That's
that?
for sure probably math.
You hate math.
Yeah.
That's okay.
All right. Along that back wall are a whole bunch of people who will tutor you in math if you want to be an engineer. Because sadly, you're going to have to do your math if you want to be an engineer. Math is the vegetables of an engineering dinner, okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
So do you like languages?
I can speak a tiny bit of French.
You can speak a tiny. So math is a language.
Comment
Okay.
allez-vous, monsieur?
Oh, okay, so math is a language, and that's what you have to think about. Math is a language, and then you want to take a risk in it. You want to go ahead and learn about math, and a really fun way to learn about math is learn about the history of math. Read about Pythagoras. Read about the ancient Greeks and what they did, Euclid. Read about them as people. Find out who that person really was. And then all of a sudden you're going to go, hey, that was kind of a cool guy. Maybe I can do that. So turn it into a game. Turn it into something fun.
That's really good advice from a guy that went to like 37 years of school.
Yeah, you're pretty close.
Got to be some way to get through it.
It was 32.
You can stay here. Let's take 2 more questions and then let's network. 2 more. Do we have? Okay, right there.
That was good. Good.
Jeff Gopal from University of Akron, I'm a professor of practice at the School of Engineering. I have a question for David. How can we build from within the university bridges to entrepreneurs outside the university? How can we build bridges?
Okay, so for the people in the back, this is Gopal from engineering from the University of Akron, and the question was about building bridges between engineers inside and outside in the community and inside and outside the university.
So whenever, if you look at the genesis of a company, how does it all happen? It starts with an idea. You got to have an idea first. Then you have to visualize what that idea can do. But at some point, you have to recognize that it's going to take a lot of people to really make that happen. You're not going to do it on your own. There's no one person today who can do everything that's needed to be truly successful. And you have to recognize that everybody in that process is important. Even the guy who's cleaning up the office. And when you're starting, it's probably you emptying the wastebasket, by the way. So there has to be a recognition that there has to be give here and give there. And not everybody's going to have everything. And the idea is important, but it's not just the idea. One of the most interesting things in, again, my world, the medical device world, is that the sales guy, the VP of sales, is probably the highest paid guy in the whole company. Okay? And it's because they have to make it happen. They have to get out there and execute it. So I think it's a recognition of it requires a tremendous team of people to be successful, and everybody's important. The other thing, one of the things that I have a lot of fun with, I've had people come up to me and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this, I'm having a problem with that. Do you know any? I said, sure. Let me connect you with this such and such person, and then this such and such person. I had a meeting with somebody last week. I gave him 6 names. I really don't want anything in return. I'm just doing it because he asked me to do it, and it's like, hey, go ahead and be successful. It's fun.
That's exactly what I want to close on, because as a community, we got to get Aiden to bed. So here's what I want you guys to do. A couple of things. First of all, we'd love it if you joined us again next month, but that wasn't what I was here to say. One, give us feedback. If this did not provide value, please be honest so we don't waste your time or our time again. If it did, tell us that. We need some feedback about whether or not this night made sense for you guys. Second, we want to make sure, here's what I'd like you to do as a networking thing, and I thought of it just as you were saying that. You don't have to do this, but you know what? You don't have to achieve excellence, and you don't have to make Akron better. I still hope you do anyway. Here's what I'd like you to do. Introduce yourself. We're going to network now. Introduce yourself. People have to leave. Do what you got to do. Introduce yourself to somebody you don't know in this room and ask this question. What do you do and how can I help you? You have 3 answers. Oh, I can help you with that. No, I can't help you with that, but I know somebody and I'll connect you. Or 3, sorry, out of my area, and go on to the next person. Okay, let's build bridges. As Gopal said, let's start now. So ask people that question, what do you do and how can I help you? And you can select from 3 answers. I actually can help you, I know someone who can help you, or I can't, and I'll go talk to somebody else. And keep mixing. Those are the kinetic collisions we want you guys to have. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Oh, Ian has something.
Oh yeah, one more thing. 2 more things, actually, everybody. I want to tell you that everybody that came in and signed their email address, we're going to send you back an email either tonight or tomorrow, and that's going to have a string of announcements. I don't want to bore you with announcements, and actually we have a lot that are actually pretty worthwhile. So I'd rather put them in writing so you can actually think about them and do them. But also, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. We have another event on March 2nd next month. We're going to have guests Joe Canfor from Gojo, John Zogby from Zogby Analytics, and Courtney Gross for email. And she's from Design Flux and recently Forbes 30 Under 30 and a UA grad. But before we say goodnight and get the jazz music going with Joe Lehman, I just want to present a small gift, small thank you to our guests. So Jeff, if you would hold this. Tony, thank you so much.
Wow, thank you.
David, thank you
It's
so
an
much.
engraved cube. Very cool. Very cool. All right, here's what I'm going to do, Ian. I'm going to give you and all of your friends, I'm going to give you 2 tickets for signing up to the Blue Jazz fan club tonight.
Thank
so
you.
you get 2 tickets. You can come back when is appropriate. It'll say on the ticket.
Which in your case is like 10 years.
You know, it's an all-age club. We have performers his age here. We have a performers.
Right.
I want him to come play some
Really?
jazz. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you very much, everybody.
I want to thank Jeff Hoffman. He's a real gem and an asset to the community. Thank you, Doctor, for coming. So we're going to be playing some jazz here. We got a pianist going to crank it up a notch here. And I'm going to be playing some jazz flute a la Ron Burgundy. So stay tuned.